welcome to the session. This is Sweta, your English Master Teacher at Vedantu, and the chapter that we are going to cover today in one shot is The Happy Prince. Now, this is going to be very useful for your last minute preparation. So, let's delve into the chapter The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde. It's a beautiful chapter, a very heart touching story of the Happy Prince and yes, the swallow, right? So it's a beautiful story, guys. I'm sure you all would enjoy this. And Oscar Wilde stories are they are my favorite, my own favorite. So I hope, you would also enjoy the same just as I do reading Oscar Wilde's beautiful stories. Now, Oscar Wilde was an Irish poet and a playwright. He also has written many plays. After writing in different forms throughout the 1880s, the early 1890s saw him become one of the most popular playwrights in London. So he is definitely a famous playwright. All right, and now we would be delving into the summary of this wonderful story. So now this is a story about, as the title says, the Happy Prince. So high above the city on a tall column stood the statue of the Happy Prince. So the Happy Prince is the titular character. Okay? Now this is about a statue, of course. See, so the story begins with a statue of the Happy Prince, which was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. And for the place, for eyes, he had two bright sapphires and a red ruby. See, you can see this is the hilt of the sword, right? So a red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. So this is the entire statue of the Happy Prince. Now let's see, why was this prince called happy? Don't you think the very title arouses our curiosity? So was he happy? Was the Happy Prince very happy? Is that why he was called happy, the Happy Prince, or what was the story behind it? Let's see. Now, one night there flew over the city a little swallow. His friends had gone away to Egypt, and they migrate. The birds do migrate, right? So because of the depending on the weather condition, but he was left behind. So then he also decided to join his friends because the weather was becoming very cold and he had to go to Egypt for finding suitable weather, suitable climate, right, to survive. So then he decided to go to Egypt. The bird kept on flying on its way to Egypt, and at night it reached the city of the Happy Prince. It wanted to stay somewhere, it was seeking shelter, and then it thinks upon where to stay at night. Just then, it saw a huge statue, right, of the Happy Prince. It stopped and sat in between the feet of the statue of the Happy Prince, right? Now, to his surprise, what happened when the moment he was, about to sleep, putting his head under its wings, suddenly he felt a large drop of water. Now, the bird was very surprised. All of a sudden, from where did this drop fall? There was no rain, right? Neither it was the rainy season. Still, he felt a drop on him. So he was quite astonished. The swallow couldn't believe what he saw. When he looked at the sky, it was not cloudy. But then another drop fell on it. And then I told you that he couldn't believe what he saw. He saw that the eyes of the Happy Prince's statue was filled with tears. The Happy Prince crying. Isn't that ironical? When the swallow looked at the Happy Prince's face, it was looking beautiful in the moonlight. The little bird's heart was filled with pity. Why? Because the statue was weeping, right? So it was the swallow felt very sad. He felt pitiful at the condition of the statue of the Happy Prince. It asked the statue who it was, and ironically, the statue replied it was the Happy Prince. So look at the condition. He was Happy Prince, but he starts to cry. So again, a sense of curiosity created in the mind of the readers. If he was a Happy Prince, why are tears flowing down? his cheeks. Let us see what is the story behind that. So there was a conversation which was taking place between the statue and the swallow. Okay, so the statue said, "When I was alive and had a human heart, I did not know what tears were. For I lived in the place where sorrow is not allowed to enter." So he was a prince. He was shielded away, protected from all kinds of sorrows and miseries. Right? He lived happily. He did not even know the meaning of sorrow or sadness. But now he is dead. His statue has been erected, and they have set the statue. The statue is so huge, so high, that he can see all around him the ugliness and the misery of his city. And though his heart is made of lead, okay, he is dead. Does not have any human feelings. His heart is made of lead. He is not a human anymore. It's just a statue. But still, he cannot help but weep, looking at the miseries throughout the world, looking at the ugliness of the city and the suffering of the people. So that was the real reason of his tears flowing down his cheek. "What? Is he not solid gold?" said the swallow to himself. So the swallow had thought, looking at the statue, it must be made of solid gold. But then when he said that his heart is made of lead, so he is actually gilded with gold but not made of solid gold. So then he asked, but of course, he was too polite not to make any personal remarks, not to ask that directly. So he just said to himself, "Is it not solid gold?" And then the statue continued his story and said that there was a house of a poor woman. The window of her house was open, and you would see through the window that she was sitting near the table. So the statue was so high, you could see everything all around, right? Her face was thin and she was tired. Okay, her hands were rough and become red because she had been pricked by the needle. So she was knitting something, and by the continuous prick of the needle, it happens, right? When you knit constantly, sometimes the needle does prick. The woman was a seamstress, and she was doing her work of knitting. And in a bed in the corner of her room, her little boy was ill. He has a fever. He has fever and he is asking his mother for oranges. But his mother is having nothing to give him. She only has water, river water. So therefore he is crying because his hunger is not getting satisfied, because her mother is unable to satiate her child's hunger, her child's needs, right? The happy princess statue requested the swallow to take the ruby stone from the handle. Remember, the sword's hilt had a ruby stone. So he asked the swallow to take that ruby stone and give it to the lady, so that she could satisfy her child's need. The swallow said that he had to go to Egypt. His friends are waiting for him. But again, when the statue requested him, he agreed, and he said that he would be staying with him for one night, and he would be being his messenger, and whatever errands he would be sending, the happy prince would be sending him, he would be doing all those. The swallow, as instructed, he took the ruby stone from the happy prince's sword, and then he flew over the town. And when he reached the woman's house, it saw the boy who was suffering from fever. For that reason, he was not even able to sleep. So he was hot with fever, not able to sleep. And so he was turning left and right on his bed. So he was very uncomfortable. And his mother was very exhausted, okay, because of long duration of her work. And she had fallen asleep. And the poor child was very uncomfortable. So what did the swallow do? The swallow put the ruby on the table. And after keeping the ruby stone, the swallow went near the boy, this boy who was sleeping, who was trying to sleep, and it shook his wings in this manner, because of which the boy felt a sense of relief, because he was very hot. He needed some air. And the movement of the swallow's wings gave him that cool air and made him feel better. And then When the swallow went back to the statue of the happy prince and said what he had done, he also remarked that he felt warm, right? So this worm has a great symbolic significance. This worm also, the warmth that he was feeling also signifies the warmth in his heart. Okay, he was feeling very good now. The feeling that he had, after performing a good deed, he had helped someone, and that is what the prince also remarked, that this warmth is because of the good deed that you have done, right? So the weather was very cold, but still the swallow was having this warmth inside him because of course, it was the result of flapping his wings, which made him feel warm, but symbolically interpreted, just because he was, so your good deed never goes unrewarded, right? So because of that, he was able to sustain the cold weather outside because of the warmth that he had gathered, that he had, gained by helping that poor child, right? Okay, guys. So now, let me, go full screen and let me talk a bit about V.O.T.E. Now, V.O.T.E is Vedantu Online Talent Exam, which is going to soon start from 28th March to 18th April. And this is not just an exam, guys. This is a comeback. ये सिर्फ exam नहीं, ये comeback है. Now 2019, 2020 had seen a great setback, a huge setback in the process of education, जहाँ पे आपको आपके सारे schools में online platforms में shift हो गए आपके सारे schools, but they were not very prepared for it. As a result, the children suffered a lot. The entire process of education suffered a lot. So now we have pledged for your comeback, and your comeback moment starts now with V.O.T.E. So these are the 4 dates for Vedantu Online Talent Exam: 28th March, 4th April, 11th April, and 18th April. Which now this Vedantu Online Talent Exam is an all India level live exam, which is absolutely free of cost. इसके लिए आपको कुछ भी देने का जरूरत नहीं है. You don't have to pay anything. And ये होगा इन चारों dates में at 3 p.m. And this is going to give you the in-depth performance analysis with all India rank. Isn't that super amazing? Plus guaranteed scholarship from a pool of 500 crore. Daily challenges, not just the main prize, guys. You can also win extra by taking up daily challenges and win exciting prizes worth 1 crore. And another excellent news is you could be the CEO of Vedantu for a day and also win a trip to NASA, right? Now make a comeback with V.O.T.E, and this is going to help you in your in-depth performance analysis, जहाँ पे आपको आपके strengths, आपके weakness पूरा का पूरा analysis होने वाला है. आपको एक all India rank मिलने वाला है. Isn't that super amazing? Not just all India rank, subject rank, state rank, and question level analysis. So this is something which is really, really huge, guys, for all of you. And you can also stand chance to win all expense paid educational trip to NASA, win exciting gadgets like drones, telescopes, laptops by taking up daily challenges, and you can become the CEO of Vedantu, which is of course India's leading live online platform, and you can share your ideas to change the way millions of students learn online. Also, you could collect V-coins and win daily prizes. If you want to know more, guys, you need to wait till the end of the class. And you could also download the Vedantu app from Google Play Store. या फिर आप visit कर सकते हो ये सारा link, which is going to give you the complete information. So guys, now I'm sure all of you are set to make a comeback. So guys, do register for V.O.T.E right now. Now let me talk about how to get your voter ID card. तो जैसे आप register करोगे V.O.T के लिए, आपको आपका voter ID card मिल जाएगा. right? So you, after that, after you get your voter ID card, you have to choose your vote days. तो जैसे ही आप select करोगे अपना vote days, right? And आपको main prizes तो मिलेंगे ही. Apart from this, daily weekly challenges भी आप ले सकते हो. आप 35 V coins collect कर सकते हो by attempting all the quiz questions, plus additional 15 coins भी आप collect कर सकते हो by answering all the quiz questions correctly. अब आते हैं आपके एग्जाम फॉर्मेट में. नाउ एग्जाम पैटर्न जो है उसमें आपका मैट यानी कि मेंटल एबिलिटी टेस्ट, दैट इज द पैटर्न. 40 क्वेश्चंस होंगे, 40 क्वेश्चंस. मार्किंग स्कीम है, पर क्वेश्चन 4 मार्क्स यू विल गेट, एंड पर इनकरेक्ट क्वेश्चन यू लूज 1 मार्क. टोटल 60 मिनट्स है. Okay, 60 minutes is 1 hour. That is going to be your exam duration. So guys, get ready for vote, and also you can win big by making squads. आप अपना खुद का squad create कर सकते हो by selecting a squad logo. So you can earn V coins and collect large number of rewards, guys. So what are you waiting for? Hurry up and register yourselves for vote. ठीक है बच्चा बाड़ी. So now let's resume to the story. Next morning, what happened? The swallow went to the river and took a bath and thought that it would reach Egypt. ठीक है, अब उसको Egypt जाना था. So he thought that now he had already done the errand or performed the errand by helping that child, and now he is ready to go to Egypt, meet his friends. He was very happy. But then, when it was night and the moon rose in the sky, the swallow went to the happy prince seeking permission. So now he asked, now can I go to Egypt? And again, the happy prince requested to stay with him for just one more night. The happy prince tells the swallow about his second work. He is now prepared to send him for a second errand. He says that far away across the city, I could see in a small dark room at the top of the house, a young man is sitting. Okay, he was sitting on a desk on which all the papers were spread. What was he trying to do? He was trying to finish a play. He was actually, he was writing, and he was trying to finish a play for the director of the theater. But he was feeling very cold. He was too cold to write anymore. There's no fire in the gate, and hunger almost made him faint. So he had no money, he was hungry, and that is how he could earn his living, by writing. But he was very cold, he could not even write. So then the swallow understood. The happy prince, wanted to send him to another errand, and he agreed to stay back. Now, the happy prince said he had eyes which were made of very precious and rare sapphire stones. Okay, he ordered the swallow to pluck one of them and take it to the playwright so that he could, gain from it. The swallow, as instructed, carries that order and delivers the sapphire to the writer. Next morning, again, the swallow flew down the harbor and sat on the mast of ship, and he spoke loudly that he's going to Egypt, right? Once again, he requested to spend one more night, and the swallow this time agrees again. And this time, he talks about the story of a little match girl who, whose matchsticks had fallen in the gutter, and they all are spoiled. And if she does not have any money by selling those matchsticks, and if she returns home without money, she would be beaten up by her father. She had no shoes, no stockings, her head is also bare, and therefore the happy prince requested the swallow to pluck out the other eye. Okay, so he had already given one, the sapphire from his eyes to that young writer. So another eye was left. He said, pluck out my eye and give it to her so that she does not get beatings from her father. Now the swallow, again, he took another sapphire stone from his eyes and flew to the match girl. But you can understand that now the prince could not see anymore. Right? So he bent very low and kept the sapphire on the little girl's hand. The little girl was very happy, and she went home happily. So he told him now he was blind, and so he could stay with him forever. Right? So The swallow, when he returned to his to the prince again, this time he did not want to go to Egypt anymore because he saw that the prince cannot see anymore. So he needed to be with the prince. But the happy prince said that no, you should go to Egypt. But this time the swallow himself refused and said that he would be staying with him, and it slept on the prince's feet. The next day, as he sat on the prince's shoulder and told him the stories of what he had seen in strange land. So now it was the swallow who could see, the prince could not see anymore. So it was the swallow who narrated all the stories to the prince. And the prince said, don't give me all the wonderful stories that you see. Tell me about, the sufferings. Okay. So then the swallow flew over the city and saw the rich making merry in the beautiful houses while the beggars were sitting at the gates. The white faces of starving children looking out listlessly. Then he flew back and told the prince whatever he had seen. So he narrated all the miseries and narrated the class difference. So rich making merry, that means the rich becoming rich, the beggars, the poor people, they are starving. They are not able to even sustain their livelihood. Now the happy prince said that my entire body is covered with gold. So you could, peel off the gold, take the tiny pieces of gold and give them, distribute them to the poor people who are in need. Leaf after leaf, the fine gold, was picked off from his entire statue. And now the happy prince, which was looking so beautiful when we began the story, which was standing erect with beautiful gold plated body and, sapphire in his eyes, etc., etc. Now it looked very dull and gray. Then what happened was, it was the time when snow came, and the poor little swallow was now becoming colder and colder. But he still could not fly to Egypt by leaving the prince, because now he started to love the prince, and the prince also, he loved him too well. So he picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the baker was not looking, and that is how he tried to, survive, and also flapped his wings to keep himself warm. But how long? This could not last long. At last he knew it was time for him. Now he has to leave this earth. He just gathered enough strength to fly up to the prince's shoulder. And then, when the swallow is about to die, he says that, can I kiss your hand? And prince says, that he showed his love towards the swallow, right? And finally, the swallow said to the prince that he was going, but he was not going to Egypt. Where was he going now? To the house of death, because he knew that his time has come. He added that death was a brother of sleep, and finally he kissed the happy prince, and the moment he did that, he fell down to the prince of the happy prince and died. Now, a strange thing happened after that. As soon as the bird died on the prince of the happy feet, there was an unusual sound which came from the statue. What was that sound? It was the breaking of the statue's heart, which was made of lead. So this moment is very, very, very touching, and it was a heartbreaking moment for the prince. So literally his heart broke when he saw the, saw the swallow dying. Okay, when he felt the swallow dying, right? His heart broke because of the because of his beloved bird. And but it is said, of course, that it was so cold that his heart broke into pieces. But actual reason was it broke because of the death of his beloved. The next morning, the mayor of the city, along with the councillors who were taking a round of the area, they saw the prince's statue, which looked very ugly and untidy. So, what did they decide? That this is not looking beautiful anymore, right? So then, the heart of the happy prince, which was, so what did they should demolish it because now it is no longer beautiful. And then what happened was they demolished it, but the heart of the prince's statue was not able to melt in the furnace. Very beautiful moment. What happened was, coincidentally, they threw the heart away where the dead swallow was also lying. So even after death, they were united, right? And at the same time, in heaven, God asked one of his angels to bring up the two most precious things of the city. And what did the angel brought? So what did the angel bring? The angel brought the two pieces of heart of the statue along with the dead swallow. So these two were the most precious things. And so what happened after that? The bird would always sing. God said to the angel that, yes, you have brought the right thing. Now, this bird would always sing in the garden of his paradise, and the happy prince would stay in the city of gold and admire him. So, they were united even after death, and they were rewarded for whatever they did when they were alive. Right? So that is a beautiful story, guys. A very heart-touching and beautiful and a very meaningful story of the Happy Prince. I'm sure everybody enjoyed. Now we would be dealing with the important question and answers from this particular chapter. Okay, so I hope, guys, you are enjoying the session. And if you want to join us further, you need to click on the link in the description box and the pinned comment. You could avail unlimited live classes with fun and high-level quiz questions and compete with the students throughout the world. So you get a lot of exposure, guys. Not only that, the difference between the YouTube sessions and our platform is the kind of the live classes. Yes. So YouTube sessions में limited live classes है, but in our platform, unlimited live classes. एंड हर एक लाइव क्लास में आपको क्विज क्वेश्चंस मिलेंगे. यू डू नॉट हैव टू वेट फॉर क्विज मेंटी सेशंस एनीमोर. तो क्विज क्वेश्चंस के हर एक क्विज के बाद आपका फास्टेस्ट फिंगर फर्स्ट दिखाया जाएगा, विच इज गोइंग टू टेल यू योर टाइम ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस, रियल टाइम परफॉर्मेंस आपको बताया जाएगा, विच इज गोइंग टू प्रिपेयर यू फॉर योर फ्यूचर कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स. And of course, आपको बहुत exposure मिलेगा because you're going to compete throughout with students throughout the world. Plus, even if you're watching your replay, उसमें भी आप live quiz के मजे ले सकते हो. ठीक है, वहां भी आप live quiz में participate कर सकते हो. Plus, leader board आपको हर session के end में दिखाया जाएगा, which will be telling you your overall class rank and earned points. तो वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा बेनिफिशियल है, बहुत ज़्यादा यूजफुल है because you're going to know your strengths, your weaknesses. Plus you can download all the content at the end of the session. And सबसे important है, आपके के सारे doubts then and there solve होने वाले हैं with the help of our class teachers who will be there with you throughout the session. ठीक है, उसके बाद assignments आपको हर एक session के end में मिलेगा. You could solve those assignments and you would be able to understand कि हम कितना समझे हैं, how much we have been able to grasp the content. Plus आपको quality tests होंगे. You can solve those tests and we will give you a performance report of those tests जो आपको फिर से analyze करने में help करेगा where you stand. So all this, and yes guys, constantly जो gap आपके education में मिलता है, we have tried to fill up all those gaps in terms of our chapter wise courses, micro courses and free crash courses, which is going to boost your preparation and definitely solve all your chapter wise queries. ठीक है, and all this is for less price. तो ये बच्चा लिंक है आपको दिया हुआ है नीचे, पिन कमेंट में जाना है आपको और तुरंत क्लिक करना है एंड अप्लाई करना है कूपन कोड SWR Pro. The moment you apply this code guys, ये है आपका डिस्काउंट वाला प्राइस. ठीक है, 2700 का आपको मिलेगा 2160 फॉर अ मंथ. सेशन न्यू वाला सेशन के लिए है 2022. और full year academic plan के लिए अगर आप opt करते हो, you will get it only at 25,919. You do not have to pay 32,9399. जैसे ही आप coupon code apply करते हो, this is going to be the price, and 10.7 per class full academic year. I'm sure this is very very affordable. ठीक है? So with that guys, लिंक पे आपको जाना है, कूपन कोड आपको अप्लाई करना है. So that is what you have to do. And now talking about the multiple choice questions. पहला question है, okay, first you have to read the extract. I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. Okay, so let's see what's the question from here. Who is the speaker and what is he or she talking about? The writer is the speaker. He is talking about the glory of the prince. The speaker is a little girl who sells matches on the street. She's talking about her tribulations. The swallow is the speaker and he's talking about a suitable place to perch. None of the above. Very, very simple, guys. It is, of course, the swallow who's the speaker and he's talking about a suitable place to perch. Next is, what does DARE stand for? Okay, DARE stands for the beautiful city and it was situated on the bank of river. For the statue of the happy prince, it was high above the wall. Stands for the marvelous mountain situated in between two countries or none of the above. ये भी बहुत ज़्यादा simple है. जल्दी से मुझे chat box में answer दे दो guys. Come on. It is B. Stands for the statue of the prince. It was high above the city on a tall column. Last MCQ question, guys. Why was it a fine position? Because one could see the entire country from there. Because all the parts of the village was covered in snow. Because soldiers could see enemies coming from the other country. Because the little swallow could get plenty of fresh air. Again, very simple. Direct text ka question hai, guys. Direct extract ka question hai. It's of course D. So how many of you have got all of the three answers correct? Give me a quick thumbs up in the chat box. I'm sure most of you have got all of them correct. अब आ जाते हैं हम subjective answers में. So the first question is for 2 marks. Why was the bird not able to sleep peacefully that first night? Because of the drops, right? Teardrops. He was disturbed by the 3 teardrops that fell from the eyes of the statue. When he saw the tears running down the cheeks of the statue, he looked so beautiful in the moonlight. The statue looked very beautiful and the bird was filled with pity because of the weeping statue, right? So he therefore could not sleep. Next is a question for 3 marks. Who does the prince ask the swallow to deliver the red ruby to? To a poor seamstress whose son was very ill. And the child was asking his mother for oranges, but of course she had nothing to give her except water. Since the statue's feet were fixed to the pedestal, he of course could not deliver. It was a statue, he could not walk. It was fixed to the pedestal. So he asked the swallow to do so to carry out his errand. Right? Okay, very, very simple direct question from text. Last question for 5 marks. What were the 2 precious things that the angels find in the city? Of course, the dead swallow and the lead heart of the happy prince, which was broken into 2 pieces. Okay. Now they picked these because both the bird and the statue had gone beyond their selfish interest and lost their lives serving the poor and the downtrodden. The bird had cancelled his plans to migrate to warmer climes for the winter, staying back to help deliver the valuables as directed by the statue to those who were in dire need. And after the statue gave away his sapphire eyes and became blind, he did not have the heart to fly away from his friend. Okay, so he died in his attempt to give him company, to become his companion, right? Similarly, the statue had selflessly given away all the valuables that covered his body so that the poor could be, happy. Okay. It made him extremely sad to see their misery. So he chose to give everything that he had. without expecting anything in return. So this was definitely a selfless task. When at last his friend the swallow died, he was completely broken. So he was heartbroken to see the death of his beloved, and therefore his heart literally cracked into two. The angels valued their sacrifice and charitable acts and chose them as the most precious thing. This definitely suggests that, whenever you work for, whenever you give anything or do anything without any selfish interest, your unselfish deeds are going to be valued and going to be rewarded, definitely, right? So with this, we have the last question which you would be solving as your homework. Why did the courtiers call the prince the happy prince? Was he really happy? What does he see around him? Okay, so here we also get to learn a moral message that real happiness actually comes not by getting shielded away from all the sufferings of the world, but doing something for the people. When you do something for the people in need, you feel the real contentment, you feel the real happiness, and therefore you become happy, right? So that is what is the story, The Happy Prince. That is how the story ends. And with that, guys, the session also is going to end. So I hope you enjoyed the story. And if you did, do hit the like button. Do share the video amongst your friends and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And don't forget to write the homework answer in the comment section. Also, don't forget to visit the link in the description box and use the coupon code SWR Pro. Till then, take care. Bye bye. See you very soon. And also, yes, get yourself registered for V.O.T.E. Yes, bye bye. Take care. Thank you.